Can you guys hear us still?
Yeah.
Yep, we're all set. That's like Gary.
Okay. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Governance Committee meeting for the CCIDA, CREDC, and CRC. We're at the BWB Building, 201 West 3rd Street, Jamestown, New York. We're also streaming live on YouTube and Zoom. It's March the 23rd, 2026 at 1 p.m. We'll go ahead and do roll call. Gary Henry's here. Amy Hardick.
Here.
Thank you. We already received the minutes from June 24th, 2025, and have had a chance to review those. Do we have a motion to accept the minutes?
Accept the minutes.
I'll second it. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The minutes have been approved. We'll move right into new business A, housekeeping resolution presented by Harris Beach. It's all yours.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, everybody. So, Mr. Chair, I think we are probably looking at the same resolution. And Mark, if you don't mind, I think we'll have correctly so, we're going to review the housekeeping resolution, which is your annual resolution. I think what we also probably want to touch on is the second resolution is your resolution which the agency tomorrow will approve. Just like the housekeeping resolution will be ultimately approved by the board tomorrow. There's another resolution going before the board.
It's called review of policies and resolution. Yep.
Yeah. So do you have both of those? Like, we drafted them for the board tomorrow. Does the committee have those in front of them?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep, both under
perfect.
resolution 1 is the housekeeping, resolution 2 is the policy.
Yep, we have them both right here.
Okay. And then
Perfect,
you have
perfect.
green
So
paper separating those changed and not changed. My apologies. Yep.
So I think just to set the table, then I think when we're done talking here, Liz, the committee would be able, and you can do it in one resolution. The committee will recommend submitting the annual housekeeping resolution, the policy resolution for approval to the board of directors. And then that's what this committee would do. So, Mr. Chairman, when we're done talking, that I think that's, you could make that motion. And then I'll let Lizzie very briefly, just for the benefit of everybody, we'll run through very, very quickly bullet points of the changes that ultimately will be approved by the board. And of course, if you have any questions, you can interrupt us or wait to the end. But Lizzie, why don't you dive right in?
Yes, so I'll just start quickly with the housekeeping resolution. That most importantly, Exhibit A contains your draft Paris report. Exhibit B contains the appointments of the officers of the agency, committees of the agency, authorized depositories, and counsel. The only change being on that, besides the year being updated, is just removal of the past CFO from references to that policy. So I'll give everyone a minute to look at the appointments and if there are any comments on those. All right. Otherwise, that is the first resolution, the housekeeping resolution. The second resolution is the policies update. So I'll quickly review just the recommended policy updates that we've worked with staff. So first is the credit card policy. This policy is specific to the IDA only, and this just removes the past CFO as an authorized user with a credit limit. Next is the employee handbook. So we revised the employee handbook to defer to the policies of the agency and for the policies to take precedent in the event that there is a conflict. We do not envision that due to the revisions we made, which in brief is to incorporate those policies into the handbook and then to modify select sections such as the performance evaluation section, the conflict of interest section, the confidential information section, employment of relatives, and travel policy to defer to the respective correlating policies of the agency that are already in effect. We maintained keeping the sexual harassment and the airborne infectious disease policy in the handbook as well. So we will be asking the board to approve of those amendments to the handbook. If there are any questions on our amendments in general to that, if not, I'll jump into the additional policy amendments.
I'll just reiterate, there really is no change to the handbook that we just did. It's specifically just calling out, like Lizzie said, calling out the reference to the policies. What we did last year, basically, mirrored the policies in the handbook, but there was one, I think it was the employee gifts was like 25, or was that what it was? Employee gifts was like $25, but in the policy it was 50, if I remember
It was
correctly.
70, I think, yeah. So,
75.
yeah, there were just a few, yeah, it was 75 and then versus 25, and then same thing with the, performance evaluation section.
Yep.
There was just a few minor differences in the travel reimbursement. So for simplicity's sake, we, worked with staff to just kind of design the handbook so the policies are controlling, and so that the policies, as they are amended from time to time, ultimately take precedence. We did end up working some of the, which I'll get into now, this is a great segue, we worked some of the provisions from the handbook into specific policies just to maintain the practices of the agency. So first with the supervision and performance evaluation policy, it just included some points from the handbook, annual performance evaluations in December to determine salary increases and promotions, reiterating the ability of employees to review the appraisal and their evaluation and provide a written opinion, and including that then in the personnel file of the employee. For the anti-nepotism policy, just to reemphasize from the handbook the circumstances under which the agency will approve of employment that from related parties. And then that's all for really conformity with the handbook. One additional policy change we did make is your conflict of interest policy required annual board reapproval, which is not required by the letter of the law. So we just removed that one provision. And then aside from that, the policies that the board is required to review and approve of each year, the procurement policy, the investment and deposit policy, and the real property disposition policy will also be in front of the board tomorrow. There are no changes, but annually under the Public Authorities Law, the board does have to readopt it.
Yep.
So I believe that about covers the policy changes. Are there any questions from the board, comments, staff, anything?
And again, just to drive this point home, where the handbook had expanded upon a section that had to do with a policy, we basically truncated that, right? Sort of cut it back and said, refer to the policy. Because otherwise, what you would have to do is every time the policy changes, which happens often, you'd have to update the handbook.
Yep.
So it's general enough now where the policy can change, the handbook doesn't have to change.
Yep. And we'll get fresh
That's right, Mark.
signatures from employees
Yep.
when the policies change.
Yep.
Yep, so we have it drafted with the handbook having an effective date of April 1st, 2026, after ultimate board approval, obviously. So yes, we recommend getting all employees current to re-execute. There's an acknowledgement page on the last page of the handbook, which has always been in there, but getting it re-executed, and then as new employees start to providing it to them, of course, and getting that page executed as well.
Now, do we have to, and Shelby just said this, do we have to get the employees to sign a new one of the forms, a new acknowledgement form every time a policy changes?
Every year.
Yeah. That's what we talked about on the last meeting, that we would incorporate an employee acknowledgement in a revised policy. So starting this year, they would sign the handbook
Yeah.
that they reviewed all the policies. But then if there's a change to a specific policy, they'll just sign an acknowledgement that they reviewed that policy,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, that's a good practice, Shelby. And then, of course, any new employees at the time
Yes,
of
would do
being
the
hired.
full. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking that you said, or I was thinking in my head, that would have to be
Each,
the whole handbook.
no.
Yeah, just
No,
that
just
policy.
that policy.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
All
this is- yeah.
All
Yes, that's all from us. If there's any other questions or comments, that was a great point, Shelby, to reiterate.
And again, last year, Rich was still an officer, if you will, so we still had him as I can't remember exactly.
Past
Past
CFO.
CFO, and he still had a credit card and all that stuff, so that's all. Yep. Done.
Yep.
All right. Any other
Yeah, well,
questions?
concerning it. Yeah, if there's no other questions, if Bob, you don't have any comments, we'll turn it back to the board for vote to recommend.
Yeah, the committee, so no, right, you're obviously not adopting these, but you would be recommending the two resolutions as proposed be submitted to the board for approval.
You got, do you have the second one?
Okay, I got it here.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that the committee recommends resolution 3-23-2601 housekeeping resolution, and also resolution 3-23-26-02, the County of Chautauqua Industrial Development Agency adopting or readopting certain policies and procedures and addressing other matters in connection therewith. Do we have a second?
And I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, they're unanimously recommended and we'll bring them before the board tomorrow. Anything else?
Oh, that was just on that agenda for today. I'll
Okay.
change it. Yeah, this is, make sure it's
Okay.
correct.
Anything else for the committee?
So, Mark and Mr. Chairman, is the way Lizzie and I went over this today, is that what you would imagine the
Perfect,
same presentation would be tomorrow? Okay.
Yep. Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you so much for all your work and keeping us on the straight and narrow here. We really appreciate it. And
Yeah, thanks for letting us work with you.
we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yep, we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Okay.
Thank
thanks.
you. Bye. Bye-bye.
You can keep them on.